everybody. It's Allie. And welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, July 3rd, 2022. Ms. Newman makes a move. Finally, Victoria Newman makes quite a move. She lured Ashland right into his own demise. She stole absolutely everything right out from under him. It was a move. A bold move. But was it a good move? Let's start out with a poll question this week at yrchat.com. Do you think that this was all a very genius plan of Victoria's? Or do you think that she just made a really big mistake? I can see both sides of that argument because on the one hand, I'm really proud of her. She totally snowed Ashland. And she did a good job of it, too. She did a good job of snowing the audience even for a number of weeks. And I found it all to be very entertaining. She got him to pour all of his remaining finances into a bank account for their new business venture. And then she transferred all of that money over to herself with just the tap of a finger and then called the Newman jet and said, "Come and get me. I'm going home." That was so good. Right as she was packing up her suitcases, Ashland showed back up. She thought she was going to sneak out and not confront him then and there. She thought she was going to confront him later, but he showed back up, asked her where she was going, and she just slowly unraveled it for him. She said, "I loved you with all my heart and soul, and now I know you have neither." It was so interesting to watch Ashland's face go from confused to shocked to heartbroken. And finally, it kind of transitioned into anger. And that's where I think it gets kind of iffy. I mean, we haven't exactly seen it yet, but they don't call him the Loch Ness Monster for nothing. He may have been following her around like a little puppy dog for the past few months. But now that she has stolen all of his money, left him broke and alone, I don't think he's going to be quite so kind to her. In fact, maybe it was just me and my female instincts kicking in, but I felt very concerned for her being alone in that hotel room with him. She was acting and feeling pretty emboldened, with this revenge plan of hers, proud of herself for outsmarting him. But it really would not have taken much for him to overpower her. He could have just tossed her off of that balcony. I kept thinking, Victoria, please, at least put one hand on the door or have your phone in your hand or something. But he didn't do anything yet. He let her walk out the hotel door, and we had that final shot of his face on Friday, looking like he was about to do something. That final shot of Ashland on Friday just left me with this overwhelming sense of, oh, he's not going to just take this. What exactly is he going to do now? Victoria must have also known that Victor would make a move of his own, that he would make it impossible for them to get investors for this fake media company, and that would force them to have to privately fund, what was it? Destiny Media? Destiny Media. Oh, I'd say Ashland funded his own destiny. All right. Victoria purposefully told Nick that she and Ashland were looking for funds, looking for investors, and sure enough, Nick ran right back to Victor, and then Victor played into Victoria's hand. I really liked that part of the plan best, the fact that she was counting on Nick to go back to Victor, and she was counting on Victor to try to thwart the investment plans. That was very good. Unless Victor knew all along that Victoria was up to something. I don't know, maybe he knew she was up to something but didn't exactly know what it was, or did he know everything? I don't know. What am I saying? Victor always knows, so I assume he knew on some level. I guess we're going to find out next week, but the fact that Victor always knows means that Victor also knows that he really has no intention of leaving Adam as the CEO of Newman Enterprises. So, yuck. Does that mean that Adam is going to be unceremoniously kicked to the curb the moment that Victoria returns? I mean, he had this whole big press conference last week and said how capable Adam is and how great he's going to be at holding the reins of Newman Enterprises. And then what? 1 or 2 weeks later, Victor's just going to leave Adam dangling in the wind? That's pretty cold, Pops. I think Adam is going to have to start calling Victor Popsicle. He's that cold. That'd be a good name for him, Popsicle. That's heartbreaking. Adam is currently looking for some kind of wow idea to prove to Victor that he deserves to keep the position, but nothing Adam is going to do is ever going to be good enough. If Victor wants Victoria in the seat, he's going to put Victoria in the seat. So, well, what if the wow idea that Adam ends up coming up with is teaming up with Ashland against the Newmans? I think that's a battle that I would very much like to see. Sharon is really being there for Nick right now, talking him through his family troubles and his career decision. Why on earth would Nick be considering going back to Newman Enterprises now? Oh, wait. I know, because Newman Enterprises needs to be rescued, Nick thinks. Nick just can't help himself from trying to be the hero. But there's nothing that really needs saving here. Victoria's very messy personal life left Newman Enterprises without a leader. Adam was perfectly capable of stepping up and running the company. Or if Victor reinstates Victoria, Adam can go off and start his own competing company. But either way, Nick has always been happier on the outside of the family drama. And I'm happier with Nick being on the outside of all that. Nick said something like, he just wants to get in there and make Adam squirm. And look, I'm all for Nick wanting to make Adam squirm a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to keep everybody on their toes. But I also think that Nick and Adam are better being mostly friendly with each other. Plus, Adam hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't done anything wrong to warrant the hawk eye from Nick or anybody else. I think ultimately Nick is just bored. But hey, I have an idea. Maybe Nick can start a podcast. He could really air a lot of his feelings with his very own podcast, Nickcast. Or, heck, if Nick is just bored, then let him get back together with Phyllis. If drama is what Nick is looking for, there's enough drama there to last another decade. I can see the argument that Jack has abandoned Phyllis rather quickly. I mean, no second chances at the relationship, and it seems like even friendship is off the table now. It's rather unfriendly of Jack to abandon Phyllis when she clearly needs help, and she has been there for him so many times. But I also think that Jack has a right to guard his heart. I think he's not wrong that Phyllis has a tendency to self-destruct right at the moment of success. It's like Phyllis doesn't want to just be happy. Phyllis wants to chase happy. I think everything that Jack said to her this week was fair points, given her history. May not be real nice to hear, but it was kind of true. Meanwhile, Diane is dreaming of being accepted by the Abbott family, dreaming of being one of them, being part of the team, and I really think she's sincere. Kyle and Summer offered her a job as doing some PR work for Marchetti, and they all went out to celebrate. Kyle, Summer, Jack, Diane, and I couldn't help but think that they seem like they would make a really nice family, or that they are kind of a really nice family. I think that Diane, kill me now, would make a good wife to Jack. I think Diane has the potential to be a good mom to Kyle, a good Dee to Harrison. It's in a way too bad that she couldn't have been here all along. I think Diane has got a great tone. She totally deflects the slings and arrows of the town in a really classy way that continues to impress me week after week. I mean, even Noah laid into her this week. And on the inside, Diane had to have been thinking, ugh, what? Kid, you were like 5 years old when I last saw you. Back off. Kyle and Summer offered the Marchetti design position to Chelsea. And Chelsea was super excited. It was great to see her smiling and seeming creative. But Chloe was not on board with the idea, to say the least. And I can see Chloe's perspective too. They're already overworked, and now this is adding a whole new big project to both of their plates. Well, Chloe and Chelsea had a couple of big blow-ups over the whole thing, and I have to say, I really can see both of their perspectives, and I thought this made for some of the best scenes of the week. From Chelsea's angle, Chloe just needed to step up to the plate. Chloe just needed to be a good manager, put a good team in place, and learn to delegate some of the workload that she's complaining about. I mean, surely Kyle and Summer would be providing them with some extra budget and some extra staffing, and instead of seeing it like a burden and kind of being a wet blanket on business growth, Chloe really could have chosen to see it as an opportunity. She could have chosen to see it as a good thing. Chelsea's obviously also feeling a little strangled by the friendship too. Chelsea feels like Chloe is always watching her, always judging her. In fact, she called Chloe controlling, and I thought that was a really good word choice, and I think it's true to some extent. Chloe has always been a little controlling of Chelsea. Possessive of Chelsea would be maybe another good word. But I I also really get it all from Chloe's angle, too. And I also get what it's like to work with someone, be around someone who is unfocused. Chloe called Chelsea impossible, and I think maybe we all know that feeling of being around someone like that. It's like you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, and there's only so long that you can work under those conditions with somebody like that. And Chloe is, in her own way, feeling strangled by the friendship at this point, too. It's true. Chloe has bent over backwards for Chelsea. There is nothing that Chloe would not do for Chelsea. Chloe stuck her neck out for Chelsea with the poisoning thing. And then she turned around and helped pave the path for Chelsea to have this career that she's having now, post rehab. I will say, I really liked all of the Chelsea and Chloe scenes this week, and I think mostly because I actually, for the first time, got a sense of how their business works. Chloe said that Chelsea does a sketch, and then she takes over from there, finding the suppliers and managing their workflow, and I thought that was a really cool insight that I didn't have before. But wow, now it looks like Chloe's gonna end up walking away from the business with Chelsea altogether and going to work with Sally as her new COO. Sally just so happened to be floating around the edges of the Chloe and Chelsea fights. She sat down with Chloe, and Chloe was kind of fuming over the whole thing and explaining her position, and Sally was very reaffirming of Chloe's position, telling Chloe that she is a good worker and that she is a good friend. Sally told Chloe, you've done a lot for Chelsea. Maybe too much for Chelsea. Maybe you need an alternative. Have you ever considered a career as COO of a multinational media company? Wow! Cool! COO positions get handed out here like Cracker Jack prizes. Anybody else want one? I never thought about being a COO before, but now that you mention it, maybe I should. Oh. But as Adam points out, moving away from Chelsea doesn't necessarily mean that Newman Media would be the best fit for Chloe, considering she hates Adam's guts. Or does she? Maybe sometime in the future, back at Newman Media, Chloe and Adam start working some late nights together, and that years-long tension starts to slowly build, and maybe Sally gets sent away to speak at a conference in Hawaii, and then maybe we can get the Adam and Chloe hate sex that I've been asking for. Adam had a very candid conversation with Chelsea, telling her that maybe she needs to not take on this Marchetti job, not bite off more than she can chew. Chelsea's been really edgy since Ray died, and maybe throwing herself into a new work project isn't the way to deal with her grief. Hey, I know, maybe starting a podcast could help Chelsea work through some things. You get a podcast, and you get a podcast, and you get a podcast. Oh. Gee, I felt a little bad for Billy with how bluntly Chelsea panned his podcast. I mean, she essentially said everything that we've been saying here for a month now, but somehow it feels different hearing someone on screen say it. Is there any chance that Chelsea's remarks actually were a representation of the fan reaction to Billy's podcast? It all felt very self-referential. Very meta. tell me that Y&R is not actually listening to us? Quick, somebody bolt the clubhouse door. There's a mole in here, and no one is leaving until we figure out who it is. Oh, well, or maybe Y&R just came to that realization on its own that Billy's podcast was a little, shall we say, severe. And yeah, I think Chelsea made some good points. People do need lifted up. We all know that the world is a corrupt place. It's been that way for millennia. So what really stands out among the muck is humor and joy and hope, and Billy has the potential to have all of that in him. So Chelsea gave Billy that good advice, and then later Billy gave Chelsea some good advice, made her rethink her position on the business partnership with Chloe. Kind of seemed like after talking to Billy, Chelsea started coming around to seeing Chelsea came around to seeing Chloe's perspective. So, I mean, I guess we could take that to mean that there is something going on between Chelsea and Billy. I asked you guys last week who you think the next guy for Chelsea is, and 28% of you voted Billy. That was the majority single name vote the people picked. So 28% Billy, 20% Kyle, 13% Nick, 7% Chance, and 1 vote for Adam. Actually, the majority vote went to someone else at 30%, and I have to admit that's what I voted too, because I don't really like any of these options for Chelsea. Billy, Kyle, Nick, Chance, Adam, blah, blah. I'd rather have someone new or something new for Chelsea. And I tell you, I mean, I just don't, I don't necessarily think that what we've seen this week means that Chelsea and Billy are going to hook up. I mean, I'll give it to you. She had 3 run-ins with him this week and last week, but she also had run-ins with Kyle and Nick. I just can't see Billy jumping from lovely Lily, who is patient and loving and kind, over into Chelsea's wreck of a boat. Those two would sink each other faster than Jaboat. Plus, Victoria is going to be back in town, and if anything, you know that Billy is going to be hovering around her. Plus, I kind of like Lily and Billy. Okay? I've gotten used to them. They're sexy and cute and funny, and I think what Billy needs to do is marry Lily. Quick, before it's too late. Get a ring on it. Get a not a promise ring, Billy. Get an engagement ring on that finger. But another thing, while we are critiquing Billy's podcast and his life, I do think that Billy needs to stop folding to all of the women in his life. It's like every time Lily or Chelsea or Jill tell him something, he goes, "Oh, well, you're a smart woman. You know, you're smarter than me, so I guess I'll let you tell me what to do." I mean, it's true. They are smarter than him, but it also comes off as pandering. And I don't know, I want to see Billy start having some confidence in his good decision making. I mean, wouldn't that be the ultimate evolution of his character? Wait a minute, you mean to tell me that Chancellor Winters didn't even have 50 podcasts? They're going on about these 50 podcasts for weeks now. Come to find out, they were just 50 podcast ideas. Well, there's a heck of a difference between having 50 podcasts and having 50 podcast ideas. Maybe that's something Nate could have double-checked on before he went bragging to the media about it. I kind of enjoyed watching Devon deliver that tidbit of news to Nate's ears. Not that I want Nate to look foolish, but I just enjoy seeing any kind of new reactions out of Nate. He's just done so much nothing for so long that it's wonderful to finally get to explore some nuance in his character. But I mean, also, if the reason that Devon was so hesitant to make that announcement all along because they didn't actually have the content, then Devon should have said that to Nate before now, like when he was shutting him down. Devon could have given that as the reason for why he didn't want to make that announcement instead of just being vaguely dismissive. Well, luckily, Elena's got another podcast idea, so we can make it 51. 51 podcast ideas. Well, it's a medical podcast. Yay! That sounds interesting. Everybody loves listening to other people's medical issues. Oh, I love the idea of the podcast idea, though. I think this is an absolutely brilliant, savvy, smart move by Elena to put herself right back into the thick of Nate's world. Take that, Imani. Don't you dare count out Elena just yet. Whew. Shouldn't Imani be a little less worried about Elena and a little more worried about Naya right now? I mean, apparently Naya can't move, can't communicate. It's absolutely heartbreaking to me to think about her like that, because I liked her very much. I thought she came off as very strong, and you know, I liked the character of Naya, and now I'm just imagining her as a vegetable. And all we see is Imani caring about Nate. It's not good for Imani's character. Imani needs a friend. She needs some humanity. I want to like Imani. She cannot just be a single-minded, Nate-loving robot. That's my job. So move over. There's not room for two of us. And I came first. I loved Nate well before Imani caught on. Well, Amanda did have a sit down with Imani and tried to prepare her for what to expect when she does see Naya, but then Imani's mind quickly went back to the task at hand. So when is Elena leaving for Hawaii? Operation Steal Nate needs to be put on turbo speed before Elena's podcast trump card comes into play. Life has a funny way of kicking you right where it hurts the most. Ugh, vocal cord nodules. That is a real downer. That is devastating news to someone whose vocal cords are a big part of her entire livelihood. Tessa feels joy, and Tessa brings joy when she sings. And the idea that she would no longer be able to do that is devastating to her, devastating to us. I have to say, this is not a storyline direction that I was hoping to see. The girls are fresh off of their Parisian honeymoon. I thought we were going to be talking adoption and having a little bit of honeymoon happiness. And now it's just a real big bummer. I mean, I guess on the bright side, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of opportunity here to showcase Kate Fairbanks's acting talents and to kind of let the viewers relate to Tessa in a whole new way as she goes through this challenge. She's going to need our support more than ever. And I think she's going to get it. I think the fans, I think Genoa City is all going to rally around her, rally for her, her family, her friends, her fans. Was it Allie listening to a Tessa Porter song in the park right before her run with Noah? So maybe Allie will kick in there and help. There's a lot of people who I think will want to help Tessa get through this. And number one on that list, of course, will be Mariah. I think this will be a chance for Mariah to step up and be there for Tessa, the way that Tessa has been there for her. I do wonder what Y&R's long-term plan here is, though. I mean, okay, so we go through the challenge. At the end of it, will there be a triumphant recovery? Or are we going the route of Nate's hand injury, where Tessa will ultimately not be able to do the career that she is passionate about anymore? She will not be able to sing anymore. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is Y&R's way of leading her to have to take a job at, say, Newman Media with Sally and Chloe. This week, Lauren and Michael hit the exact right romantic tone. And it was exactly the same romantic tone that Jack and Phyllis should have been hitting. You know, it's like they were sassy and sexy and dancing in the hotel room together, totally in love, just totally enthralled with each other. I think Lauren and Michael proved there in that scene that you don't have to show a love-making scene to show sexy. Slow dancing in the hotel room was sexy. And Christian LeBlanc took his shirt off. And looked really good, too. What was the rectangular-shaped scar on his arm? Does anyone know? Did you guys notice that? Maybe it was a tattoo or something that had been covered up with makeup. It looked unusually shaped for a scar. And I also noticed that Nick had something similar this week, too, on his bicep, or just like a square patch or something. I don't know. It's a mystery. Will the mysteries ever end? I don't know. Maybe somebody knows and can tell me. Well, Lauren was awfully chipper going to meet with Chelsea right after she was with Michael. Lauren practically said to Chelsea, sorry I'm late. I just came from having sex with Michael. He's a hound. He's a real sex hound. There was no hiding it. She was just completely on Front Street with that one. And Chelsea goes, oh yeah, love in the afternoon. I get it. Love in the afternoon? That's a phrase that we have used here a lot. I am very fond of it. That is my best ever favorite descriptor of soap operas. Love in the afternoon. And this week, Y&R themselves said it. Coincidence? Or mole? Well, when the great man speaks, we apparently listen. Don't screw up. That was our Who Said It quote from last week. And indeed, that was Victor Newman's advice to his brand new CEO, Adam. Isn't that nice? Don't screw up. Can you imagine getting hired into a new job? I mean, you've got your own insecurities about it, probably. Right there into a new job, and the thing that the boss tells you is, don't screw up. Yeah, that sets a real nice tone, popsicle. So many winners. You guys got that. Practically everybody got that. So congratulations to Nancy, Henry, Daisy, Kathy, Doreen, Tina, Susan, Sheila, Keisha, Naomi, Tina Cole, Juanita, Fan 101A, Tommy, Ellen, and Tanya. You guys all guessed that it was Victor. Here's a new quote. Let's see if you know who said this. I do know what it takes to make the sausage. As soon as I heard it, I knew that was the line of the week. I do know what it takes to make the sausage. If you think you know who said that, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Okay, everybody. Well, believe it or not, that takes me to the end of this chat for today. I am so very sorry. This is an audio only and a shortened version of our Y&R chat because I just got back from my little vacation. Took my daughter to a resort that has like a water park and a mini golf course and all these little things for kids. And let me tell you, I'm freaking exhausted. I really thought I was going to have more time to work on Y&R chat stuff while I was there, but I was kind of paranoid to use their Wi-Fi, and so I had a bunch of stuff to do when I got home, and you know me, I have to get all my stuff back to where it goes, and we were in the pool for so long. My skin is like dried out from the chlorine, hotel towels, hotel water, I need to recover. I ate so much stuff that I shouldn't have eaten. I feel blah. Vacationing with a 5-year-old is a fun sandwich. There's fun in the middle, but the two pieces of bread are stress and, exhaustion. It goes stress, fun, exhaustion. And I need a break. I'm so sorry. I didn't have time to pull comments, and I'm kind of winging it here today. And it was a big week, so I do feel bad about that. So I hope you guys forgive me, but I gotta recover from my vacation. If you have little ones, you'll probably understand. But we had a good time. I'm really glad to be back. And you can read all of the comments at yrchat.com. You can also leave some comments on the website and vote in the poll. Let me know what you think about Victoria's big move. And I will come back next week in full form, full force to chat about the full week of shows. I love you guys, and I hope you have a good one. I'll see you next time. Bye!